goal kicker, Taylor Walker, with a welcome off. Here's Rosselli. Rosselli kicks the goal.
Handball to the excitement machine, McLeod. Left foot goal.
Oh, don't tell me.
He's a superstar.
Don't tell me. Oh! He's yet to kick an AFL goal. Oh, the velvet curtain.
Walker, oh, he's a colossus. He's kicked 5. He's been a handful. He's been the difference.
To cover himself in glory.
He's coming back.
And got there.
Hello and welcome back to the Proper Crows podcast. Probably sounds a little bit different to usual because Ben isn't hosting, but you've got me hosting today, so you have to stick with me. I've got Dom with me. How are you, mate?
What's going on, brother? I'm well. How are you?
Good, very good. Obviously, big win on the weekend, so still a bit of a high with that. Coming into a 2v3 game on Friday night, so pretty pumped up, pretty keen. So, yeah, I'm keen to get into it and have a bit of a chat. Just a big thank you to whoever you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or even if you are tuning in on YouTube. Just want to say thank you so much for the support that we've been getting recently. It's been pretty crazy of how quickly we've sort of come along from the start of the season. So thank you. Look, we're going to get straight into it. Dom, what were the scores on Saturday night?
So obviously it was quite a comprehensive victory in the end, with us kicking 21-5, 131 to Sydney, a measly 5-11-41. Rash and Keys with 3 goals each, Dyl, Fogg and Cumming with 2, and then probably the most pleasing aspect was the amount of goal kickers that had 1. So give me a second, but we had Walker, Saligo, Smith, Rankin, Pedler, Nibbler, Miller, Dawson and Berry all with 1. So quite an even game from the whole squad. Probably our best game of, I'd say, Nix's era. It was not. Hang on, let me reword that. It wasn't expected. The win itself, I think there was some expectation around us winning, but by 15 goals is just ridiculous. Like, it's it's a moment of like, I used to pray for times like this, man. Like, beating Sydney in Sydney by 15 goals is outrageous, and I think if you'd told any Crows fan that at the start of the year, they would have laughed at you. So I think it's, indicative of where we are as a football club, where Nix is taking us. Exciting times to be a Crows fan, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was the first time since 2019 we've actually beaten Sydney, and I think that game might have been the Barrel Seed game over at the G, so over at the SCG. So that sort of shows where we're at, and like going back to the Knicks era that you've said is our third biggest margin in the Knicks era. So, and the biggest away win as well of the Knicks era. So it sort of shows that it's probably one of the most comprehensive victories that we've seen since he sort of stepped in 2020. So it was good to see on Saturday night us sort of put the foot down and say, nah, this is who we are. This is what we can do. Yeah, and like, we had Walker and Smith come in with Laird and Taylor go out. How do you think that Brodie Smith went? We had, obviously, when he first came in a couple of weeks ago, we were pretty big on he shouldn't be in, and he proved us wrong. And I think he's proved us wrong again of sort of, he's really started a selection headache now of what do we do?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, I'm not sure if it was a thing of, like, he just needed a rest kind of vibe, because he had, he'd been a mainstay of the team for a while, and he is getting older. But, like you said, he absolutely proved us wrong last time, and he did it. Well, I'm not going to say proved us wrong, because I think there was unrest among the fan base again, but I think me and you and Benny and a few others, we weren't exactly against him coming in for Laird, because it was kind of a like-for-like swap. Replacing a halfback with a halfback kind of makes sense. And, as much as the old Charlie Edwards and Oscar Ryan and whatnot are quote-unquote rotting away in the sandful, when you've got the experience of Brodie Smith back there, I think that's probably invaluable as well, and that's why Nix is turning to him when we need a half-back flanker, and yeah, like he was great again. 17 touches, 14 kicks, 2 marks, 2 tackles, 500 meters gained. Like you can't fault it again. And you're right. There's definitely a bit of a like I can't imagine him holding. If Ladd's going to come back in, it's going to be for Smithers. I can't imagine both of them fitting in the team now that, especially now that we've got Hinge on the other side. I think it's one or the other, and I think he probably goes out again for Ladd. But you know, if he's going to be the one waiting in the wings when we need a halfback, we're in a good spot.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the depth that we've now got is so good, and I think touching back on the Charlie Edwards and the Oscar Ryan situation, I think people need to see the bigger picture here. Like we saw people whinging about Dan Curtin last year sitting in the sandpool not playing, and sort of look how he's blossomed in the last few weeks. Like just absolutely unreal. Like I think he had 7 marks, 6 tackles on the weekend. Yeah, he had
Was
7 marks. He had 7 marks, 5 tackles. Probably his most complete game to date. So it's really good to sort of see him coming along. So I think a little bit of patience is needed with Charlie Edwards and Oscar Ryan, because they're great players and they're probably going to play a lot of footy games for the footy club. But at the moment, we're not in that rebuild stage, so there's no point of blooding a youngster just for the sake of it when you do have a Brodie Smith who is playing very good football in the sandful and then performing when he is coming to play in the league side. There's no point of blooding someone just for the sake of it. So especially when we're sort of fighting for a top 4 spot. That's where I sort of stand on it. But I know that a lot of people disagree with me. So I'm sure in the next couple of weeks, especially coming off a bye, we'll probably be having this conversation again if we do lose against Hawthorn over in Tassie, because we do have Richmond that following game. People saying, give the kids a game, give the kids a game. So watch this space, because I have a very slight feeling we're going to be having this conversation again very soon.
Yeah, well, I've got, while we're on the topic of the sample squad and some of the players coming through there, I saw a tweet earlier, and I think it got sent into the group about someone asking if we were ruining Sid Draper playing him as the sub, and I think everything Dyl just said then should be applied to Sid as well. Like, we're not ruining him. He's in his first year. Just everyone needs to relax. I think we've had this conversation before on the pod, but he's an 18-year-old kid in his first year of footy, and he himself has acknowledged that he's okay being the sub, and he knows that it's a valuable role, and I can't imagine he, as an 18-year-old, is complaining about only playing a quarter of footy like every week.
Yeah.
And I think he's not going to stay as a sub. I think it's, he will eventually either crack into the 22 or he's going to go back to the sample. Either way, just relax, cool it. We're not ruining him. We're not going to ruin him. The kid has so much talent that I don't think it's possible to ruin him. Just cool it. And then see, I'm bullish. I'm going real early here, and it's a conversation for later. But that Richmond game scares me.
Yeah, we can probably touch on that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that'll be a conversation for the bye week, because that we might take a deep dive there, because it would be a very Adelaide Crows thing to do, especially if we knock off Brisbane this week and then knock off Hawks in Tassie. That'd be a very Adelaide Crows thing to do. Walk into that with a big strut about us and then get done by a bunch of 20-year-olds. So, yeah.
Nah, look, we'll see what happens there, but. I think if we can sort of bring the footy on Friday, if we play on Friday night the way that we played on Saturday night, I think we're in for a very good shot. Like, it was a complete demolition from start to finish. Like, they kicked the first goal of the game, and then after that, we piled on 12 straight. Like, they had one goal 4 at half time to our 12 goals 3. It was just a complete.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. It was a complete demolition from start to finish. What did you think of that first half?
Oh, it was ridiculous. Like I said, I don't think anyone was expecting that to happen. We kicked, once we'd kicked 6 or 7 in a row, you got that feeling of like, okay, we're on here, but it's Sydney. They're going to respond. they're not a team that normally lies down. At the time, I thought that the previous week was like an outlier, not the actual trend of the way that football club was going. But we just kept piling them on. It was insane. Like, everything was going our way. We were executing our game plan so perfectly. We were hitting kicks. We were kicking goals. We were kicking accurately, which is a massive plus. Because that has been a topic of conversation a few times. Not so much this year, but in past years where we've kind of kicked ourselves out of games. So kicking 21-5 is very, very, very pleasing, and it was just, that first half was beautiful to watch. It was echoes of that period we had against the Bombers at Marvel Stadium last year, where we put on 6 in a row, but we maintained it this time, which I think is the very, very pleasing thing.
Yeah, it was great. Like, that first quarter was just nuts. Like, our first 3 goals all came from defensive half chains as well. So it's sort of good to see that we're able to absorb the pressure and then sort of just go bang off that half back. And a lot of that did come from, your Brodie Smith and your Dan Curtins, your Josh Worrell again was massive. Mark Keane again was massive. Just having that little bit more of an agile back six and just sort of being able to rebound like that is really, really pushing teams to their limits, I guess, and they're sort of asking how do we even defend this? So it's really good to see like the young guys just sort of coming up and going crazy. Like, even in the second quarter, like, I think halfway through we had 19 of the last 21 inside 50s.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Oh, it was total and utter domination. Like, it's something that, like, I'm going to say this 1,000 times this episode, but it was so beyond our wildest dreams as to us taking it to Sydney in Sydney. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was watching it. Oh, as you know, I was watching it with a couple of our good friends, and I was in disbelief. I reckon after every goal, I was like, what is happening? How is it? Like, how are we still doing this? And we were just... It was one of those nights where we were just kicking goals from anything as well. Even that Cumming one where he just ran through, picked it up, snapped it without even looking at the goal, and it goes straight through. Like, it was just unreal. It was so good to watch.
Yeah. It was great to watch. Like, we kicked the 25 goals, was it?
21.
21.
I wish it was 25.
Sorry. Yeah. There we go. 21 goals, and just as I said, like, sort of rebounding off the back 50. We generated 38 forward half intercepts. So we were sort of locking them in early, not letting them sort of get anywhere beyond their halfway point. And from those 38 forward half intercepts, we had 13 scoring opportunities for 10 goals 3. So we pumped on 10 goals from turnovers in that forward 50. So it sort of shows how hard that midfield is working and that forward half is working to sort of lock the ball in there and say, nah, you're not moving, and just keep on pressing, tiring those teams down. So it's good to see, and if we can keep that up, I think we're going to trouble a lot of teams towards the back half of the year. So, very, very good there. And one person that really contributed towards that was Alex Neil-Bullen. He was insane on Saturday night. 25 touches, 14 kicks, 6 marks. He kicked a goal that was brilliant off the back of Isaac Rankin's work in the pocket there, where he dispatched of a couple people. What did you think of Neil-Bullen's game, mate?
I think that the most succinct way to describe Neil-Bullen is, my dad's a Melbourne supporter, and when I got home the next morning, I walked in and he just looked at me and went, "Yep, no worries," and I was like, "What?" And he's like, Neil-Bullen. And I was like, you know what? You're so right. Because he was he's so good at football. He's so calm and composed. He speaks, like, you can just tell he's a leader on field already, even though he's only been there for, his 12th game at the club. Like, I think his experience is invaluable. And even when he's not having games like he had against the Swans you still back him to be influential, and the fact that he's capable of having games where he has 25, 6 marks. I think he had 5 tackles, still kicks a goal, like where it's daylight
Yeah.
robbery that we picked him up for what essentially was Shane McAdam. Like,
That's literally what the trade was. So we got the pick for McAdam,
yeah, then gave it back
and then
for
we gave it straight back. So it's been Neil Bullen for McAdam, which is daylight robbery.
insane.
Yeah, thanks Reed.
Thanks
Reed.
Ogilvie. Yep. Thanks Nix.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's
Silvers.
just it's just great. Like, I'm not sure if you saw the interview that came out yesterday. I think Jad Adelaide did share it
Yeah, I
on
watched it.
Twitter.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, I do recommend to go and give it a watch. Just to sort of see the way that Neil Bullen speaks. Like, he spoke about the maturity levels of the group, and when things do get tough, the way that they do keep their calm heads. And he gave a few examples. So we might actually we might repost that video later just so people can give it a watch, because it's really good to see the way that he speaks about the young boys. And it's quite interesting as well to sort of get a bit of an insight of what goes on in the field. And obviously we don't see a lot of it, but no, or hear a lot of it. Sorry. It's good to see that we've got someone in from the club that's got the premiership experience to really guide these young boys into an elite standard AFL footballer on and off field. So absolutely great pickup by the footy club.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, bouncing into another great pickup, Isaac Cumming probably had his best game of the season. He was under a little bit of pressure, I think, going into this week, probably from including myself. He has been a little bit, on the lower tier for the last few weeks, but he bounced back pretty well Saturday night. 21 touches, couple goals. He had 5 marks. He was really, probably playing that high halfback wing role. Probably a little bit different to what we've seen in play, but he was excellent on Saturday night. How did you find his game?
Oh, he was brilliant, and I'm not gonna lie, I was one of the ones that didn't doubt the pickup, but was doubting his form a little bit. I know that was not common, but it was kind of spoken about on Twitter a little bit, and X, sorry, and we as a pod had spoken about it a couple of times as well. And once again, I think this is about the 5th time I've said it this year, but it just proves the coaches know what they're doing. They back him in, and then he repays the faith with a game like that, which is basically the perfect wingman's game. Like, shout out Zach Warden. He always wanted a goal kicking winger, and now we've got one kicking 2, taking 5 marks, 20 touches. Like, again, you can't fault him. He's been quiet a few times this year, but he, once again proved he was worth pursuing, and it's definitely a good thing that we won the race for his signature big time.
Yeah, 100%. Like, he had 21 touches. He had 10 contested possessions as well, which sort of shows that he's getting his hands dirty a little bit, which some wingers don't really do. He only had 3 turnovers from his 21. He had 7 intercept possessions as well, which sort of show that he was getting back and, playing that role, what we need him.
Yeah.
He had 3 rebound 50s, 7 inside 50s. He had a tackle inside 50 as well. So just, gut running is what you want to see, and hitting the scoreboard, you can't really complain. So, I think it was his most complete game in a Crows jersey, and hopefully gives them a bit of confidence to, back it up in the next couple of weeks in probably our biggest 2 tests yet, really, and to sort of let us cement a spot in the top 4. So I was pretty stoked with that. And then we'll go to our other recruit as well, Jimmy Peatling. Unreal.
Oh, bloke's a star.
Real.
He's a star. He's probably... I'm not going to say he's more like a better pickup than the Nibbler, but he's just as good. Like, he's been so good for the midfield, and I think, again, we've spoken about it on here before, he's so... His decision making is questionable sometimes, but he gives 110%. He's always going. He's always getting his hands on the ball. He gets down and dirty. I think he had 13 contested possessions, which is pretty good for someone that's only had 20 touches. Like, when over half your touches are contested, you're doing something right. 4 tackles, 5 marks. He's just a picture of consistency, really. He's always around that 20 disposal mark, and again, like we've said, he passes the eye test every week as well, where you look at his stats and he's only had 20 and you go, wow, did he really only have it 20 times? Like, because he impacts the game so much more um, than what you'd think. And, he's done it again this week. He was brilliant.
Yeah, and he's sort of he's not that handball merchant either, which you can sort of get with those type of players that get in and under. He's able to hit the scoreboard as well. Like you do see him quite often. He starts on the forward 50 and will then push into the center clearance afterwards. But he's just, as I said, he's just a model of consistency. Like this season, he's averaging 20 touches, 11 kicks, 5 tackles. He's kicking about a goal a game, I reckon, maybe
Yeah.
just under. And he's elite in the clearances stat as well. He's averaging 4.6 clearances a game. He had 7 clearances on Saturday night. He's just a freak, and yet again, the recruitment team has come out and just gone bang, because getting those 3 for basically nothing is just great. Like you can probably say all 3 of them are probably still underrated. Would you say that?
Oh, definitely. I think. Oh, it sounds mean, but coming probably he's about
Yeah.
where you'd say, and I think internally within the AFL, I think every club's fans underrate Peatling, but I think the fact there were so many clubs after him show that he's not underrated within the actual AFL industry. But yeah, absolutely, him and Nibbler both, they're definitely underrated when you look at how some players from other clubs, especially the old Victorian clubs, are pumping out numbers that are arguably just as good or worse, and they're getting put in all Australian conversations. Definitely underrated, I'd say.
Yeah, like if we go back and have a look at the trade of what we did for Peatling, so we gave a second round pick and we got a future third and fourth rounder back. So we even got a couple picks back
Yeah,
from GWS. So it's just a great trade, and it's very cheap when you sort of look at the back of how many clubs are chasing him. I think 10 clubs were chasing him, and
yeah,
he's
10
turned
or 8,
down.
one of them. Yeah,
Yeah, he's turned down the Collingwoods and all that sort of stuff as well. So, yeah, pretty stoked to have Jimmy at the club, and he's just been great. 24. He's only 24. I didn't even realize that.
yeah. That's what I mean. He's so young. He'll be at the club till he's 30, like at least. So we've got, like I said, it's a very exciting time to be a Crows fan. I think because even though our list on paper, when they do those like average age thing, it looks like it's aging, but people need to remember that we've got Tex in there that is throwing it out by a fair bit. We've got Doss who throws it out by a fair bit once, and when you swap Brody and Laird, it's the same thing. They're basically the same age. So once those old heads go, which I actually don't think I want Tex to especially yet, but that's going to come down again, and it's a very exciting time to be a Crows fan.
Yeah, I think I saw a stat the other day that there was 15 players that played on a Saturday nights were all brought in within the Knicks era. So I think we only had 3 players out there that were playing before Knicks got here. So it sort
Yeah,
of shows that he's overthrown the entire list and sort of made it his own. And now we're starting to reap the rewards, and we're starting to really see what he's been building to for all these years. It's been a long rebuild. It's been a frustrating rebuild, but we're finally starting to see what he's trying to make here. And I think we need to sort of just sit here and enjoy it.
Yeah, correct. And I think that it also ties into like a lot of the people that doubted how he was as a coach. You got to remember the list he inherited versus the list we have now. I think that speaks for itself, especially with the pool we've got as a football club at the moment, with getting, the 3 recruits in, getting Rankin, getting Dawson. I think that goes a long way as well to proving that he is the man to take us to the promised land. And, because I know there's a few people that, imagine what Ross Lyon would have done with our list. But I don't think anyone could have done a much better of a job in building the list the way he has, based on what he started with. And I think that's definitely very underrated part of his time with the club.
Yeah, 100%. Like just touching on that, touching on the recruits. Kautoimi actually put out a article today about the top 10 best recent recruits for the club. And so he's got, I'll go from, he's just listed 10. So I'll
Yeah,
go from 10 down. If you're, I probably agree with it, but shout out if you don't. I think there's one name that's really missing here. We'll see if you can pick it as well. So we've got Josh Worrell in at number 10, Hinge at 9, Peatling at 8, Rochelle at 7, Mark Keane at 6, Saligo at 5, Thilthorpe at 4, Keys at 3, Rankin at 2, and then obviously Jordan Dawson at the 1. That's, I think that will be from 2020. For the last 5 years, we've had all of those names come in. I think the one that's really missing there is Max. I think
yeah.
Max is the big one that's missing there and can probably be swapped for maybe a Keane or a Mitch Hinge. But
I think,
that's
I think that Keane one's reactionary based on the last
yeah,
few weeks. Um,
yeah. This is the same Mark Keane that we were calling for his head about 4 weeks ago. So
yeah, correct. And I think so. I think that's I would also. It's a very early sample size, but I would also almost consider having. Actually, no. I was going to say Nibbler for Hinge, but Hinge has definitely earned that spot. So I think you're right. I think I'd probably take Keane out for Max.
yeah,
But no, I think that list is probably pretty accurate. I'd maybe argue Thilthorpe above Keys because I think they would. I think Keys was 3 and Thilthorpe was 4.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I sort of think maybe in the context of things, like he was delisted by Brisbane, and we gave him a chance through the rookie draft. So it's
That's true. Yeah.
he's actually one of the only 2 live picks from that rookie draft that's still on a list. So Brad
Damn.
Close is the other one from Geelong. So
Oh, that's a
you know
bloody good
he's
one as well.
he's another one. He's played 118 games in a row.
Yeah,
Benny
that's
King.
insane.
He's our vice captain. He's signed on into a 2027. He's just
I think
he's a weapon.
his turnaround in form and just the way he goes about his game, I think also needs some credit because early on he was one of those blokes where you didn't necessarily think he was going to survive throughout the whole rebuild, because the best way to describe it, I think a lot of people thought he was an effort merchant. He tried hard, but he didn't quite have the minerals to actually get there. And I think he definitely has. He's gone past that now. He's brilliant now. He's so. I'd argue that losing him would impact our forward structure so much that it would be a massive loss now. A few
Yeah,
years ago, I think people would have doubted that, but now, I think you can say confidently we'd be in some strife without him.
yeah, 100%. And another name that was listed on that, who was excellent again on Saturday night, was Josh Rochelle. His burst of form in the last few weeks has just been absolutely absurd, and I think we're really starting to see now that this kid is going to be special.
Oh
He's
yeah.
he's going to be real special. That goal assist was just
Oh, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
yeah. It's one of the more special things I've seen out in a footy field. He's really starting to hit the scoreboard now. He kicked 3 goals, one on Saturday night. He had what do you have? He had two direct score assists. He had 9 score involvements. He's playing a little bit in the midfield as well. He only had the 1 CBA, but from that 1 CBA he got the centre clearance. So
Yeah.
there you go. You can't really complain. The one thing that did piss me off about his thing on Saturday night was a little dive that he took and Rampy hit him, but
No, it's
I'm
funny
sure we
as
can look
hell.
past that.
That's funny as hell. I shouldn't say I'm all for it because I think I said to you at that
Yeah,
while we were watching it, if he played for any other club, I'd want his head. But because he
yeah.
plays for the Crows, I'm like, I'm all for it. Good on him.
Yeah,
Um,
he's now coming off a game of he's kicked in the last few weeks. He's kicked 1-1, 5 straight, and 3-1. So he's probably been in the best 5 each of those weeks.
yeah,
Um,
Yeah,
He's
big
really
time.
starting. He's really, he kicked a couple in the showdown as well. He's starting to hit the scoreboard and push up the ground a little bit more. So I think him and Rankin over the next 5 years,
Oh, it's gonna be
it, it's
crazy, dude.
it's going to cause a lot of issues for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and he's so valued within the football club as well. Like, I'm not sure if you saw it. I think it might have been yesterday, but Nixie um, spent a fair chunk of time kind of gassing him up, talking about how mature he is and how much he's grown, especially from last year. Like, with the incident at the end of the year, how he was dropped for the reverse fixture when we played the Swans, and how he responded to that. Um, is basically exactly how you'd want a player to respond. And Nixie touched on that and kind of said, he took it on board. He was so professional about it, and he's come out this season firing on all cylinders again, and he's turning into the player that I think we all thought he was, well, especially that we wanted him to be, and kind of proved that he's worth that pick six at Cane Corns. So I'm very happy with where he's at, and obviously the club is as well. Like, I'm pretty sure Nixie said he's a future leader of the footy club. Like, he's invaluable, and there were a few doubters, you could say, on Twitter, especially around the start of the year. But once again, he's proven us all wrong, and we're very lucky to have him and Rankin in the same forward line. Apologies for audio just then. Obviously, as said last night, there's a few technical difficulties that we're still trying to work through, so apologies for that. Yeah, stand on business for Josh Rochelle. He's a star.
Yeah. Yeah, apologies, guys. I think we realised a little bit way through that it might be a bit echoey, and we can't actually fix it. So bear with us. We're hoping that once the audio sort of goes down, we compile it, it does improve a little bit. So thanks for sticking with us. We'll have it sorted next week. But what we're going to do, we're going to pop into the votes. We'll start with you, Dom. Who have you got at the 1?
So I'm gonna give one vote to Benny Keys. As everything I said just before, he's been invaluable for years now, and he did it again. He basically nullified Nick Blakey, and put it on his head as well. 17 touches, 3 goals, 2 marks, 6 tackles. Probably unlucky to only get one, but when it's a very well-rounded performance, it's hard to give out the votes. So yeah, I'll go 1 for now.
Yep. I go to Benny Keys as well. I think we're going to have very similar votes here.
Yeah.
But they're for the same reason. Ben Keys gets the 1. In the 2, I've got Neil Bullen. We just sort of went over him before. Just, he was electric all game, start to finish. Just the way that he composes himself, the way he plays, it's great. He'll probably be up there BNF night as well. I would say in the top 7, top 8. Who have you gone with, Dom, at the 2?
I've got Mark Keane at the 2. He's in a very, very rich vein of form at the moment. His intercept game is ridiculous. I think he ended the game with 10 intercept possessions. 23 disposals, 10 marks, 21 kicks. It's funny that only a few weeks ago we were having the conversation of, is it him or James Borlase, or Jordan Butts. So I think he's very, very much cemented himself as the partner in crime for Nick Murray, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And then for my 3 votes here, I've gone to Mark Keane, basically for the reasons that you've sort of jotted off there. He nearly broke the record there for intercepts. He just needed 1 more, but he's tied on 10, unfortunately. But no, just his game was just electric. He was unreal the entire game, and has given us so much stability down back. And once Nick Murray comes back, I think we're really going to see the results of how well we've excelled in that back 6 from where we were. But who have you got, Dom?
So I've got Nibbler. Funny that we've basically just swapped them, but yeah,
Yeah.
same reasons you said pretty much. He was best game he's played for the footy club, and he was, once again, I've said it a few times, but he was invaluable as well, and very well deserving of the 3 votes.
Yep. No, yep, agree. I think we've covered off Saturday night pretty well there. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump into a couple things that we have seen on Twitter from a few of the listeners. What I'll do first, we put out a poll today, just in terms of the rock situation that we've got. We were just having a bit of a conversation amongst ourselves in a group chat, and I thought, you know what? How about we chuck it out to you guys and see what you think about it? So the question was, who would you rather in 2026 as the ruckman? Riley O'Brien, Sam Draper, or other? Other probably being Rowan Marshall as the big one from the sort of ruck roundabout that may happen once Tom DeConning gets traded, which will more than likely happen from what we've sort of heard today, that no one really expects him to be at the Blues next year. And then that will obviously start a bit of a shitstorm, I think.
Yeah.
Because then Carlton are going to go looking for a ruckman, and from all reports, it looks like it might be Riley O'Brien they come looking for, because Rob is not really happy with the contract that we've offered him. And I think there's a few personal reasons going on as well, with a few different things with maybe work and life after football. But I'm not going to comment too much more on that. But yeah, it looks like Rob could be off to Carlton or a Melbourne-based club. And then obviously, if St Kilda gets Tom DeConning, Rowan Marshall is going to be looking for another club. And if we get rid of Rob, it opens up a perfect opportunity for us to go and grab an elite ruckman in Rowan Marshall. Or do we go down the route of going and getting Sam Draper from Essendon,
Nope.
who obviously has a bit of an Achilles issue
I can't.
at the moment?
I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I'm gonna crash out if we replace Rob with Sam Draper.
I am in your position as well. Yeah.
I think it's telling that in that poll, which, by the way, thank you for getting involved in that. We've had 170 votes in like 5 hours, which is insane. So thank you for engaging with that one. He genuinely has, like, Sam Draper is last. It's Rob or other that is leading that, and that's telling. I don't think Draper is an improvement on Rob. I'd almost argue that he's worse. I don't want it to happen. I'd rather keep, if we're not going to get Rowan Marshall, I'd rather just pay Rob whatever he wants for another couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we've got we got quite a bit of feedback here as well. So again, thank you very much, because it's it is very good actually. A lot of the questions here. So we've got Jasper58 who has said, I would rather have no ruckman than Sam Draper.
Yeah.
And I'm in that boat. I'm in agreement.
Yeah, well said.
We've had David CA with a bunch of numbers on the end, who'd also prefer Rob. He's not perfect, but neither is Draper. While I don't think Draper has ever played a full season, which I don't think he has,
No.
It's a B-grade ruckman who can't stay on the park, replacing another B-grade ruckman who doesn't miss any games, which I think is something that we haven't really touched on. Like, the stability that Rob has given us in the ruck department is great. Like, he's always been fit, besides when he got dropped for Strawn a couple, like last year and the year beforehand, which I still think is absurd, because as a lot of you guys know, I'm a big Rob fan. He's been great. He's been so consistent for us, and I think it's very telling as well that this season he has been quite consistent, and he has been playing some good football, and so are we. So that's just something to think about, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Nailed it.
Yeah, we've had Anthony Nardone has said someone else. He doesn't rate either Draper or Rob. He reckons maybe someone like a Liam Reedy from Freo, Ned Reeves from Hawthorn, or a Ned Moyle could be worth a shot. What are your thoughts on that one, Dom? Would you rather go for maybe someone who is sitting in the VFL or the Waffle instead of one of these big names and sort of give an untried a go?
Out of, I understand where he's coming from, but I don't. Maybe Ned Moyle, I would, yeah. But if
Mhm.
you're gonna target a young ruck from another club, it's Henry Smith from Brisbane, not any of
Yeah,
those. Like I said, Ned Moyle would be okay, but I'm not Reedy. I'm not. No.
yeah,
And Ned Reeves, again,
mm,
no. There's a reason
yeah,
Hawthorn traded for Lloyd Meek when they already had Reeves. He's not the answer. But like I said, I completely understand where he's coming from because I agree. I don't. If I had my choice, I wouldn't have Rob or Draper.
yeah.
But yeah,
It's I think a lot of the same things are being saying here. Like a lot of most people would rather Rob or other, but I think a great one here has been said by, let me find it, at Chris Mills 182. I think this is sort of the perfect this is the perfect answer to it. Not a Rob fan at all, but he's miles better than Draper, especially in durability. Wouldn't be paying overs for any ruck unless it was Marshall who bought Nas Wanganeen Miller with him in his suitcase.
yeah. Well, that's exactly right. Um, I don't. I would love Roma, but I agree. Unless we're underpaying or he brings Wanganeen Miller with him,
Yeah.
I'm not interested. Um, on
In paying
that,
so much.
just actually no, we'll table that for now. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think you can't pay Rowan Marshall much. He is 30, and there was another good point made where you don't necessarily need an elite ruckman to win a flag. I just think we need someone better than Rob,
Yeah, agreed.
and I think paying as much as St Kilda are looking at for deconing is,
What is it, 12.5 mil over 7 years? It's
yeah,
absurd.
it's ridiculous for a
And
ruckman.
I
No,
think looking at that contract makes me think, how is Nas gonna stay there? But we'll touch on that. We'll touch on that in a moment. There's and I think going back to the elite ruckman, having to win a flag, this ties in perfectly here from Alexander V. The ruck position is overrated, and you don't need a gun ruck to win a flag. He's then named the last nine ruckmen that have been in the flag winning side. So Bulldogs had Jordan Ruffett. Richmond for the 3 years had Nane Curvis. West Coast had Lyset. The outlier here, I think, is Max Gawn. Geelong had Reece Stanley. Collingwood had the combo of Mason Cox and Darcy Cameron. And then Brisbane had Darcy for obviously last season in that bit of a fairy tale um, ending that they had there. But I think with
I think
looking at that,
he's I think he's
looking, yeah,
underselling a few ruckmen on that list.
yeah,
I'm
I
just
was
saying,
just about
but
to say that. I think Nate Curvis is he's an all Australian ruckman. Darcy Cameron is probably your all Australian ruckman at the moment this year.
yeah,
Max Gawn is obviously I'd say probably the greatest ruckman we've ever seen.
yeah. I'll
So
credit where credit's due. Darcy Fort, no good. Reece
yeah,
Stanley, no good. Scott Lycett,
no good.
no good.
He just kicked a goal basically after signing for Port Districts in A1s last week. But
Yeah, and then
yeah,
Jordan Rufford, again, fair enough.
yeah,
But I agree with this point, though. I don't think you need a superstar. You just need someone that is consistent and is clean with the ball and can kick goals. And in fairness to Rob, he has done that this year. It's just the consistency thing I that worries me, and I think worries a lot of the fan base.
yeah, 100%. So yeah, that's a good conversation. I think that's good. that's going to be had over probably the next 12 weeks or even, longer heading into the trade period end of the season, where it does sort of drag out longer because Rob obviously is uncontracted as well, so it's a contract for him, which I think may be why he could be playing very good footy at the moment. But going back onto someone who we just did touch on about Romar, Nazaya Wanganeen-Miller, who at the moment is probably the most damaging player in the game besides Bontempelli when the ball's in his hands.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with me there, but...
Oh, no, big time.
Yeah. The Tradies podcast has just reported about 2 hours before we've started recording here that Port are well ahead of Adelaide in the Wanganeen-Miller chase to the pre-existing relationships that have been formed at Port. So that's from
Nonsense.
Mitch Cleary. Where do you sort of sit with that? Because, look, obviously Mitch Cleary knows what he's talking about, but I just don't see the point of why he would move to Port Adelaide if his intentions are to win games of football when he's at St Kilda with that younger, building Ross Lyon at the helm. I don't know. And at the same time, how much would you pay for him, Dom?
I am very of the view that I think he'll stay at St Kilda, unfortunately. But if he leaves, he'll be a Crow. He's not going to go to Port. And this isn't even coming from a I hate Port standpoint, but that football club is in some strife for the next few years. And
I think that they might even be, I know we are proper Crows, but just sort of touching on that, I think there'll be an even more strife if they've got to trade out two of their first round draft picks when we've got a very compromised draft coming up next year and then Tasmania coming into it, but that's fine.
It's the only way they get it done, I think, is if Miles Bergman is involved, and it's just, I don't even think Port should necessarily target him. I think there's so many other issues at that club at the moment where, obviously if they've got a chance, they're going to. But for what I think they'll have to give up, which I think is at least 2 first rounders, it's not worth it.
Yeah, so I think that's a bit of a watch this space on Nas, because from reports it seems like St Kilda are confident they're going to keep him, but at the same time these journos are going on saying that he's basically on his way out.
Yeah, well, Caroline Wilson said last night that she's confident he wants to return to SA for family reasons. So
yeah. Look, we'll watch that pretty closely and see what goes on. But obviously, I would give everything for Nas.
Oh, I'd do anything.
And then the other bit of news that we've got as well that's just come out in the last couple of hours is that Sam Draper is likely to leave, according to Sam McClure. That is that's from Sam McClure's Essendon source, but Mitch Cleary believes that he's likely to stay. But we are still really pushing there. So we've got 2 contradicting sources there. I'm happy to back in Mitch Cleary, as we were talking about before, because McClure, he breaks a story here and there, but I don't see how he can get it so wrong there. But we'll see what happens. As we just said, if we get Draper, so be it. But I really wouldn't be selling the farm for him.
I'm backing in Mitch Cleary.
Yeah.
I don't trust Sam McClure, especially after he said on the same podcast that we'll make finals, but regardless as to where our ladder position is, we're not going to win a final.
Yeah.
And he loves rage baiting Crows fans because he knows that we all hate him.
Yeah.
And I don't believe anything that bloke says. So.
Yeah, 100%. A bit of other news as well that I think got blown out of proportion a little bit was the Wayne Miller comments on Saturday night on the ABC interview, he said that they sort of identified that Sydney were a little bit of a rabble because of the way that they were talking out in the field.
I
what do you think of it, Dom? I think it's a bit of a fucking storm in a teacup, and I think like Jack Rewalt really needs to
oh,
come out and say I got it wrong there.
I cannot believe we apologised for it.
Yeah,
It makes me angry because it's Wayne Miller. He's not trying to, he's not doing it to be malicious. He's not trying to start something. And I think Dawes said it best where, when you make a comment like that, he's not referring to the football club as a whole. It was more of a thing of we're playing so well that we've got them second guessing everything they're doing. And you're right, it was taken so far out of context by Jack Rewalt, that it's ridiculous. David King said it best. It doesn't matter if it was an issue. Let the clubs deal with it. It doesn't need to be this big story that it's so dumb. It's so stupid.
Yeah, no, it is ridiculous. David Zeta came out and even said that Sydney couldn't really care less.
Yeah,
They don't care,
and that's where it should stop.
Yep.
But it didn't, because Vic Media always need to push some kind of agenda, and it must have been a slow news day because they ran with it. But yeah, it ridiculous, especially when it's. I know I just said it, but it's Wayne Miller. He's the nicest bloke on earth. He's like, come on, lift.
Yeah, I think unfortunately after that you might go back to the robotic responses and nothing else. But look, it is what it is. Just a little bit more general news as well. Tickets for the home games around 16 to 24 are now on sale. So if you're not a member, or if you want to grab a couple more, if you are a member and want to grab a couple more for a few mates that are travelling, then jump onto Ticketek now and grab those.
Just a note on that: the showdown is already sold out. So the only way to get in is by buying a showdown membership. So if you've missed out, get on that quick, because I'm sure they'll sell out soon as well.
Yeah, and I think if we're in a really good spot, sort of pushing for the 4, those tickets are going to be the hottest ticket in town.
Yeah.
And we've got you've got Gold Coast on a Sunday afternoon, and then we've got Collingwood on a Saturday night as well, which could be a top 4 clash, which is going to be an absolute belter. So get your tickets and let's fill the overlap, because I don't think there wouldn't be much better things than 52,000 on a Saturday night at the MCG.
Yeah.
Tyler Welsh is set to miss 3 to 5 weeks after sustaining a fractured toe against Sturt. So hopefully recovers quickly there. I've got here Matt Crouch to return to training in 2 to 3 weeks. But as of this recording, I've looked on the injury site and he is still listed at 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah,
so a little bit concerning there.
I find it hard to see him coming back in anytime soon, because he's the only one whose return date hasn't changed. It's stayed at 4 to 6 weeks the entire time he's been out. So yeah, I think that's a massive watch. Whether that's the club being very cautious, because obviously he is getting older. But yeah, it's odd. It's odd that it still hasn't dropped, but yeah.
Sending wishes out to Matty. Hopefully back on the track soon. But I honestly think that Sam Bailey probably plays ahead of him at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Another one, Nick Murray returning to training within the week as well, so that's good. Hopefully back for Hawthorn. That would be massive.
I almost wouldn't play him regardless.
And then give him another week with the bye, get him back after the bye, give him that extra week. So yeah, I'm probably you know what? I'm probably in the same boat there actually after hearing that.
Hawthorn's forward line, you know, Keane will go to Gunston, and then it's Worrell or Butts to take on Mabby or Chol. We'll be alright.
Yeah, 100%.
Chol's not. He ain't it, so.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the news that we've got at the moment. Obviously,
we've got the full injury list did get released. So the only addition, Oscar Ryan's got a broken jaw. So he's out for 3 to 4 weeks. And then Tyler Welsh actually ended up needing surgery on his toe, so he's out for 8 weeks now. Which I don't think he was going to play this year anyway. It is rough that it sets him back, but yeah. And then obviously Toby Murray progressing nicely as well. He started a very bit of low force running, so he's looking at still another 5 to 7 weeks. But good to see him back on his feet again as well.
Yep, 100%. Hopefully we can get all those boys fit and firing for finals time and have a little bit of depth there. Because if you've got your Butts, your Ball Ace sort of sitting in the wings, and Matt Crouch sitting in the wings while you're playing an elimination or maybe a qualifying final, I think you're in a bloody good spot. So let's hope that we can keep the injuries down over this mid-season period and really fly into the back end of it.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to bounce into a quick preview against Brisbane here. Massive game, 2v3, Friday night football. It's probably one of the biggest games of the year so far. Oh, I'm looking forward to this one, Dom.
I'm so excited. It's going to be electric. It's our biggest test, probably I'd say, of the year, because it's at home and it's against the reigning premiers. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. They've got that.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. As we said mid-episode, we're having some real issues at the moment with our mics. It's a little bit frustrating for you, so thank you for sticking by us.
Yeah, for the record,
appreciate it.
I've had to DIY a recording setup, hence the audio issues. So yeah, it'll be fixed next week, but bear with me for this week.
It probably isn't great as that is probably our biggest episode yet, but it is what it is. We will get by. We'll get something out, and yeah, yet again, thank you for sticking by us. But no, we'll get back to what we were on about. Probably the biggest game of the year. It's basically sold out already. Probably expecting 52,000, 2v3, possibly the biggest game that we've had of the Matthew Nicks era, I'd say. I'm not really sure what you think about that one, Dom, but maybe Sydney 2023. But I think this is bigger in the grand scheme of things.
Oh yeah, I think it's bigger. There was less expectation on us in 2023. There's definitely more now, and we're playing the reigning premiers. It's at home. It's prime time football. Yeah, I'm very excited. I think it could end poorly, but I'm backing us in to give them a red hot crack.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat here. I think it's going to be a pretty hot contested game, and sort of seeing that Essendon were able to keep up with them for 4 quarters of footy last Thursday night gives me a little bit more confidence going into it. Obviously, Brisbane ran away with it at the end there. But nah, look, I think we're in for a massive chance here. If we play that free flowing football, that bouncing off the defensive 50 and getting it in long, I think we're in for a real big chance. But yeah, we'll see what goes on. What's your predictions, Tom?
It's hard. I think number one, I think if Ben Keys can nullify Zorko, that'll go a very long way to us getting a positive result. I'll back us in. I'm gonna say Crows by 2 goals.
Yeah. I don't mind that at all. Look, I think the game is going to be won or lost, as we always say. I think it's got to be in the transition, but even maybe the smalls that they've sort of got running around. Like, I think Kyle Loman's under a bit of an injury cloud at the moment. He did come off with an ankle last week. He got back out there, but didn't play a full game from memory. Obviously, you've got Charlie Cameron sitting around. You've got Zach Bailey as well playing. It's just, yeah, they're a very, very good football side. Even their mediums, you've got Logan Morris, you've got Calamar Chi. It's a
Oh,
lot.
dude,
They're,
Archie,
yeah,
he's an incredibly annoying footballer because he'll either drop 5 on us or he'll do nothing.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot going on there, but there's a lot to play out. It'll be interesting to see how we name up as well. Like as we sort of spoke at the start of the app, do we go with a Smith or a Laird? I've still got absolutely no idea what we're going to do. I even have a slight feeling that one of them may start the sub and Sid Draper may come out of a team. Where do you stand with that, Tom?
Yeah, like I said, I think Sid probably does go back to the Sandful, so I think that definitely wouldn't be a bad way to go. I agree.
Yep. We'll get something. I don't know if we'll get something out on Friday night pre-game because I'll be working until 5 o'clock, so I won't be into the Strath until about 6 o'clock. But if we do, I'm sure these boys will Ben, who isn't here, and Dom will get something out beforehand. But yeah, we won't go too much more into it because unfortunately we are still having some issues, and I don't want you guys to have to sit through it and listen to us echoing 24/7. Look, we'll get something out. We'll get something else out on the socials. So thanks for the support you've shown on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Proper Crows Pod. On everything that's on TikTok as well. Proper classics this week, Dom. We're gonna drop it on Thursday morning. What is there anything that comes straight to mind here?
Oh, that's a tough one. The games have been kind of rough lately because either we were shit or Brisbane was shit. Yeah, I think that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what we can get out. I can't even think of a game. We'll leave that to Ben. Ben's the one that has a look at all of that because he's got a little bit of a more brain than us. But we love Benny. We've missed him today, as you can probably realise that me and Dom don't quite have the hosting skills in us that Ben does. So shows how valuable he is to us. But look, we're gonna cut off here. Yeah, listen out on the socials. We'll get something out. We'll get Proper Classics out on Thursday morning, and then we'll be back on Sunday night to give a little bit of a review of the Friday night game, and hopefully we're in a good mood because if we win, I think the lid may be off.
Oh, the lids will be lost, mate. That they'll be unfindable.
Yep. All right, we're gonna leave it there. Thanks, Dom, for jumping on.
No worries, and sorry again, everyone. Technical difficulty. It will be sorted next week.
Yep. Thank you so much again, guys, for sticking with us and listening. Hope you've enjoyed it. Any questions or anything, reach out to us and we can discuss it next week. And go the Crows.
Go Crows.
See you guys.
Ring the bell! Ring the bell! The bell in the city of churches! Stand up like Matthew Nix and rule like you never have before!
Jarman again, round the body, that'll do.